a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, my guest is an award-winning advanced aesthetic educator, a spa consultant, certified life coach, NLP practitioner, keynote speaker, and 8-time best-selling author. There's a bunch of other things as well, but I could go on for a while and then she wouldn't get to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so pleased to welcome DeeAnn Lensen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It's such an honor to be here. It's always just an honor to make a little bit of difference. Maybe one little thing that we do or say is going to make a difference, right? That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Yeah, I like what your heading is, that you help women discover how, I'm just reading, by the way, to the audience there. You help women discover how the joy of self-compassion will release their gifts. That is so cool.
Thank you. Well, today is Pink Shirt Day against bullying. And well, my story is that I grew up in an area of the United States. I'm 68, so this was a long time ago. And in that area, if you weren't blonde and a certain religion, you got beaten up. And so I was bullied. I got my front teeth knocked out when I was about 6, and when I was around 9, a bunch of boys had rocks in their t-shirts, and they followed me, calling me nasty names and threw rocks at me, and I fell off my bike and cut my leg on the chain of the bike, and the postman saved me that day.
Wow.
But that bullying instilled into my brain that no matter what I did, I didn't belong and I wasn't good enough. And it didn't matter that I was ahead of myself in school or whatever I did. My unconscious knowing of who I was down here. And I would achieve and learn and grow and earn money and then kind of just not show up. Because this is who I believe myself to be. So my passion has been helping people to really undo those neural pathways, those habits that have been created in our brain. And we all have something, right? We all have something. And I'm not here to say you're bad, you're a loser, you don't, hey, what we've all achieved in our lives, raising children, there's so many things. But my question is there something else? Is there one more little thing, and how can we get there?
Right. It's really interesting. I'm glad you said that, because my thing was like, I grew up in a home where my mother would look at us and say, "Now, one of my children is smart," things like this. And so whenever I got praised anytime when I was out of home, I would always think somehow I'm faking it.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Isn't that interesting? It's fascinating. And here's the thing, as I was collaborating in these 8 books, they really wanted to pull my story out of me. And because I'm an advanced aesthetic educator, so I just wanted to teach. I wanted to teach about emotional intelligence and about NLP. And they're going, no, tell your story. And it really made me realize that there is a story of 6 kids and 1 income. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, but she was an abused child. All that. They're stories. However, the most powerful thing I learned was to forgive and move on, and that if it's to be, it's up to me. And to start with what goes on in here, because in the beauty industry, all that fear-based marketing, which is getting worse and worse and worse. I stood in front of 200 women and I said, how many of you look in the mirror this morning when you were getting ready with a naked face and a naked body and noticed everything that's great about you? And one 20-year-old raises her hand. It starts with our self-talk. I mean, how do we talk to ourselves in the mirror? That's the very beginning of taking those steps towards growing and feeling great about ourselves and being able to master and use our gifts.
Right. Well, you do so many different things to help women. I want to know is like, where did you start? When did you first start? And what was it that you started with?
Well, when I had just had my third child at 23, I was demoing fragrances in Nordstrom, the people who walk around and ask if you want to get sprayed. And then from there, I worked behind the counter for Clinique, and I worked my way up to account executive so I got married very, very young. And by the time I was 27, I figured out that the guy that I was with at 15, from 15 on, I was growing differently. And I moved up, took a job in Seattle because there were no account executive jobs in Oregon. And from there, just kept growing. And it was the end of my relationship, and a new relationship which is 36 years old now. And when I came to Canada, I brought Arbonne to Canada, which is a huge network marketing company now. And but I was just drawn to spa. Well, Canada wasn't ready for network marketing in the late 80s, early 90s. I can tell you that. And it was so easy in Oregon. And then I come here and it's like, no. But we did great for 8 years. But I made a big mistake during the recession. I promoted harder instead of tooling back. So trust me, during COVID, in my distribution company and my spa consulting company, I tooled back. So I went from behind the counter to account executive to owning and running Arbonne to just really diving into the spa industry, and ended up working for someone, tripled their business, and then started my own. Here I am.
Here you are. But there's so many things. Well, first of all, what is NLP?
Neuro-linguistic programming is understanding that we communicate and assimilate information differently. Like some people will have to see things; they have to see it on a piece of paper, and they'll use that in their language. I see what you mean. Some people hear. Some people feel. Some people think. And if you communicate with someone who is who only can understand when they see it, and you keep saying, well, the way I feel about this is, it's not going to connect. Right. So we can match and mirror, and that's just one level of neuro-linguistic programming.
Right. Okay. Now you let's see now. You're the president and CEO of Touche Aesthetics.
Yeah, it's a line of serums, and it's a line of non-toxic, highly performing serums, because serums are the pay dirt of skincare. They're small molecules that go underneath your moisturizer, and they make the biggest difference. And they should be changed out during the year, depending on how your skin is functioning. Is it hot? Is it cold? Outside? Et cetera, et cetera. Am I a year older, a year younger? Depending on the skin. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We can only pretend we're a year younger, but so now what happened with you? What happened? I don't mean should say the way you did things is you kind of dissected the cosmetic industry.
Well, it's interesting. My son-in-law, Dan Mangan, who just got nominated for his third Juno.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Dan Mangan. That's how he described me. He said that I dissected the cosmetic industry with its own fine-tooth comb and created empowering programs for women. And what he means by that is that in the spa industry, it wasn't talked about that we trained the estheticians on their own self-esteem so that they could better support their clients' self-esteem. Right. And I was on the board of Leading Spas of Canada at the time, and the rest of the board members kind of looked at me like I had two heads 15 years ago, when I really started bringing in guest speakers of empowerment into the conferences, etc. And now it's very much a strong part of the business. So I'm very excited and proud about that.
Yeah, and as you should be. I mean, that's wonderful, I think, because not everybody has that that insight, I guess it is, to see that, hey, this is what's needed, right?
Indeed, and to recognize that the self-talk that people are, that women in particular, when they're applying their skincare, all they're doing is noticing everything that they don't like.
Right.
And that's where emotional freedom technique came in, teaching them to tap their serums into their face and tap in positive affirmations. And I'll tell you what, it's proven that what we say to ourselves has more power than what someone else says to us, correct?
Right.
So,
yes.
So it should be called Skin, CARE, Cosmetics Applied Respectfully Enhance.
All right. Okay. You have, now where are we here? You have a public health programs that include Thrive Alive Mastermind.
Yes, we're doing group coaching. As a matter of fact, we're just launching a new one on March the 8th, and it's a downloadable coaching program that you can do on your own, or you can upgrade to work in a group. And I can tell you, I've led many, many, many teams of groups, and the group becomes as powerful as the coach, because our accountability partners are the gym, right?
Yeah, right.
Makes so much difference.
So much, yeah, for sure. What is emotional intelligent life coaching?
Well, emotional intelligence is understanding that we all have emotions, and it's our default emotion of how we show up, especially under stress. And the assessment will take you through multiple videos and things that you read, et cetera, and then it'll assess how you answer it, and it'll be able to tell you with all the different emotions. I'm just going to pull that up because it's really fascinating. So anger, anxiety, fear, joy, love, sadness, and shame. Now, those are the emotions. However, joy and love, in a healthy, thriving person, joy and love should be 60% of how we react.
Right.
And it's really fascinating because, and joy and love have the highest vibration. They have a vibration very close to enlightenment. And shame has a very, very low vibration. So if we are allowing ourselves to default to those negative emotions, we are going to have low energy, and we're going to attract low energy, because that's what we're emitting, right?
Yes, right. Okay. And then there's emotional freedom technique downloads that you have, right?
Yes, those are teaching us how to what the emotional freedom technique points are, and how we tap them and where we find them. We can do it on half of our face. That is what emotional freedom technique, and here that's what emotional freedom technique teaches. But in aesthetics, we teach acupressure points on the whole face, and so I teach them on both sides, because there's no reason why we can't address all of the acupressure points, which of course address and stimulate the meridians in the body. So we teach that.
Okay, right. And lastly, not really, but anyway, Women's Empowered Inside Out Live and Zoom events.
I do a lot of those for spas, so for their spa clients. And so in the process of bringing empowerment into spa, I train the estheticians on understanding their habits, their self-talk, how to stay present during the treatment, and how less tired they'll be at the end of the day if they do that. So I'm basically teaching them to put their oxygen mask on first. And then I also do evening events for their spa clients to teach them about self-care and empowered self-care. And my most amazing experience was at the Villa Airy, and they had a group of ladies come in, and I did my empowerment talk. And afterwards, a lady came up to me and she said, "I didn't want to come. I just lost my husband, and my daughter really, really forced me to come. She said, I thought I was going to get pitched on you and pitched on the spa and pitched on product. I don't know if I can say this and not cry. She said, and I came and I got pitched on me.
Wow.
Yay.
Yay. Right? You know, it's kind of interesting because we live in a world where, well, anybody who watches television, we have all of those reality shows with these women that live in Hollywood or wherever, and they're all getting, you know, they do the Botox and they do all of this stuff to their bodies all the time, right? So the message is still getting out there that if you're not looking, you know, like with no wrinkles, and how do we counter that? Because that's so insane to me, you know.
Well, we get to choose. So at 68, I don't have Botox, and these are my cheeks. Now, although I have a funny thing that I did on stage one time, and I took nipple covers and put them on my cheeks because they're nice and round and full. And I said, this is an alternative and it costs a lot less money. But
love it. I love it.
I'm not against those things if it's
Right.
done, you know, very conservatively. These young girls that whose lips are out to here, I said to one of them, I guess you've never seen a belly after it had a baby and was stretched for months on end. So the bottom line is, how about if we really focus on vibrant longevity? Yeah. There's a beautiful Canadian company called Bend Beauty that has oral collagen, marine oral collagen, and supplements that are approved by Health Canada. Oh, amazing stuff to make the skin healthy and the joints, et cetera, et cetera. And they believe in vibrant longevity. And as a matter of fact, Mark Fournier is a famous coach that I'm fortunate to work with, and we're creating a program soon called Aging Magnificently. So the opposite of aging is dying. Do you want to age miserably and hate what's happening? Or do you want to age magnificently? And there are ways that we can do that. It's okay to not have dry, dead skin on your face. That's healthy. That's good. But to beat yourself up and to buy into that fear-based marketing, you're not good enough unless your bum looks like somebody famous.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah. You can get bum implants. Okay. Whatever turns your crank, you know. I just want to tell the audience, like to the ladies, I'm 74 years old. I don't do any of that, whatever. And my secret is, well, when I get together with my sisters, we just have fun. We laugh. And I think laughter is one of those things that, you know, I'm sure you'll attest to this, DeeAnn, that helps us feel good. And when you feel good, you look good.
It secretes positive hormones in your body, and so does talking to yourself in a positive way. So does congratulating yourself because you went on a power walk or worked out. I work out with a personal trainer 3 days a week, and my daughter's in Eugene, the trainer's in Salt Lake, not Salt Lake, but St. George or Utah. And here we are, you know, and I'm definitely at a different level than my daughter, but that's okay.
Yes, that's okay. Yeah.
And I sometimes I start to, you know, think about everything I need to do later in the day, and I go, no, DeeAnn, you're doing this. Good job. Because the only thing that matters is that we're stronger or better than we used to be. Stop comparing yourself to other people.
Good point. Now let's talk about a little bit more in depth about your books. As we talked about, you did author 8 books. What are the titles? Just give us some titles and where people can find your books.
Okay, well, you can find me and everything that I'm about at Empowered Inside Out.
Empowered Inside Out.
EmpoweredInsideOut.com. And the books are, a lot of them were with the Women of Worth. Collaborative books, the Women of Worth, and the Pursuit 365. So different titles like Evolve, Thriving Through Turbulent Times, or there was one about emotional intelligence. in life and leadership. There was one that I did with my daughters about women in business, my 2 daughters, and one that I did with my son, which was this one, Family Tree, mother and son stories. And it was really fascinating to hear my son speak about his journey and learning to write goals at a young age and storyboards and really thanking me for those things.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just really, really powerful. Yeah, it's good. It's very cathartic.
Right.
Because it really makes you think about, where you come from and where you're at and what mess can you turn into a message. That's what it's all about.
Very good. Well, I think we're going to end it on that note. I just want to let the audience know I'm going to be sharing. I'll include your website so they can find you, find your books, and anything they want to explore and contact you. Anything that you can help them with. I'm sure you're into that. Obviously, empowering women is such a wonderful gift to give people. Thank you again for being on the show. But just stay on camera for a second. Just want to tell everybody now. Today, this is being taped February 22nd, and as DeeAnn said, it's Anti-Bullying Day. I don't have a pink shirt, unfortunately. I did order one, but I never got it, so I don't know what happened there. But just think about that. There's no reason to bully anybody. Just because somebody's not the same as you doesn't change your life any. Think about it that way. Thanks, everybody, for watching the show. Take care and peace out.
Thank you.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.